There's nothing quite like sailing in Alaska's midnight sun. Approaching the summer solstice, the sun hardly sets, dancing with the moon in the sky, then dipping just below the horizon for a few hours, before starting its ascent over the top of the mountains again. This is the magic of Alaska's midnight sun. And sailing here, it's easy to lose track of time. It's been an absolutely beautiful evening of sailing. For the past 3 hours, we've pretty well been goose-wing with the pole out, going like 6-7 knots. We've got a knot of current in our favor, which is really nice. Just like a beautiful light wind. We've got waves on the stern, so we're just sort of surfing along in this gentle Alaskan sun.
It's gorgeous. This land of eternal sun is magic.
Yeah.
Let's keep making miles while the making miles is good.
We've been making miles up the coast for the past few weeks, leaving Vancouver Island and sailing hundreds of miles up the coast of British Columbia. Crossing the imaginary line into Alaska just a few days ago was a momentous occasion. Oh my God, I cannot believe we have made it here. It's really, really surreal. The stoke is high and the scenery is already making a shift to the most dramatic. These are by far the biggest mountains we have ever seen on board Uinta. Over the next few weeks, we'll be heading further and further north towards our goal of reaching the 59th parallel. And we've got a pretty epic few episodes ahead of us. Just ice fields and glaciers, snow-capped peaks. These next few weeks, you'll be sailing with us towards these massive mountains and the epic tidewater glaciers of Alaska. And with nearly 22 hours of functional daylight, we'll be covering a lot of ground. And the nice thing about Alaska is it doesn't really get dark here. This next leg of the journey will see us traveling this principal channel in southeast Alaska, continuing to weave our way through the protected waterways of the Inside Passage. And though these waters are safeguarded from the stormy swell found in the Gulf of Alaska, they present their own unique set of challenges. We've got to make it through Wrangell Narrows, which is a bit of a challenging passageway. A narrow 22-mile stretch of water, shallow and littered with rocks. And the currents here are no joke, reaching velocities upwards of 7 knots. So you've got to time your transit just right. Lots of boats going through there, lots of current, rocks. But all of those worries are still a day sail away. So for now, we'll sit back and enjoy a dreamlike cruise under Alaska's midnight sun.
Eternal sun and lovely afternoon inflow breezes. This has just been beautiful.
Last night we didn't go to bed till 1:30 in the morning. Melatonin production is in steep decline. And we're not feeling tired at all. James and I were thinking we could probably do this all night.
And we might just keep on doing it all night because honestly, it gets a little bit dark for like 2 hours and then we can just keep on sailing. And if the wind keeps up like this, we're hauling ass and we're heading north. So like, why would you stop?
The fear is that we'll head into the anchorage that's near us here and then come out tomorrow and there'll be no wind and we'll be motoring. So
that's it. You really don't want to give up a good breeze when you have it in favor of motoring the next day.
No.
So I think onward, hey?
There's an anchorage here. We might pass it and then we can aim to the next one and sort of see how we're feeling. That's another 16 nautical miles. At this rate, it'd just be like 2.5 hours, which we definitely have that much daylight and we seem to have that much energy to be able to do it. So yeah. This is our first time experiencing the sun at midnight, and it's a sail we won't soon forget. It's one of the many reasons we wanted to sail north here to Alaska, and it's something we've wanted to do for a very long time. This summer, we finally made it happen. And this was quite the magical night sail into the unknowns that lay ahead. Good morning, or good afternoon, I guess, because it's like midday. We've had a beautiful, peaceful night on anchor.
Really settled overnight, natural little breakwater here. Really cool anchorage because it's so exposed to Clarence Strait. You've just got such a big view of the open water, but yet you're still really protected, which is really sweet. So a really convenient place to stop.
We've been just hanging out on anchor this morning, waiting for the clouds to lift.
The sky is just lifting. There's a little bit of breeze we can start to feel, but we're gonna start making our way up towards Wrangell Narrows.
So that's a little bit of a trickier passage in the sense that you've got to time it with the tides. There's lots of rocks and traffic.
Basically like a 20-mile long dredge channel that they send a whole bunch of ships through. There's a lot of lane markers, but it can get quite busy and a little bit of current.
So the plan for the day is to get to an anchorage where we can stage ourselves for Wrangell Narrows. So we're gonna haul up anchor here and see if we can use it to make our way further north.
I was just walking around the deck, doing our pre-departure checks, and we did hear a little ting land on deck last night when we were coming in. We didn't quite know what it was, but I found a wing nut, which is from the bolt that goes through the tack of our mainsail. It's also where the reefing hook is attached to, and without it, it just comes and falls all apart. So luckily we found that. It's a really good idea to check your rig every day, make sure everything is looking good, and if you find any parts laying on your deck, you really need to work out where the hell they came from, because you don't want to be flying around with missing parts out of your rig. We just put it back together using some thread lock, so hopefully it doesn't happen again. So we can take the rest of the sail cover off and we'll get underway here. More mud. That's what you want.
With the clouds clearing, it seemed the wind was starting to fill in. So we readied the main in preparation to harness the breeze.
Well, we put the head sail out. The wind is incredibly light, so I don't know how long this is going to last, but we are making a couple of knots, heading in the right direction, just floating along incredibly peacefully. You can hear the cacophony and the symphony of chainsaws out in the woods. Beautiful day though. All the clouds have lifted now, it's bluebird skies, and I am expecting that at some point the northerly wind will probably pick up, as is the pattern for these kinds of days up here. So we'll just sit around, wait for a little bit, and see what goes on. Well, there was no luck on catching fish in the bay this morning, but seeing as we're sailing at 2.5 knots, we may as well troll for some salmon.
We've had pretty good luck so far in Alaska, so let's see if we can keep it up.
So let's become salmon hunters again today, guys. Come along on the journey.
Despite the optimism we felt, it wasn't long before the wind completely died and we switched on the motor. We weren't complaining though, the views made for a pretty scenic cruise. We're just motoring up Clarence Channel, feeling like the wind might be building a little bit. I still don't think it's enough for us to sail upwind, but hopefully that'll change this evening. We sort of predicted this based on the forecast, which is why we were trying to make the most out of sailing last night, because we figured today might be a bit of a motor. So really happy we made a lot of miles yesterday, sailed through the night. Either way, sailing or motoring, really grateful for sunshine, and it's actually warm, which is something I'm surprised about. You just sort of think that Alaska is going to be terribly cold all summer, but I'm in a tank top and shorts, so that's pretty blissful. No luck on the fishing front so far, so I just finished putting together a salad and James is down in the galley dismembering a chicken. It's the last of our animal protein on board because we don't have refrigeration. We just have 2 ice boxes and we can only keep so much ice, and it does tend to melt on these like warmer days when we're motoring. So yeah, cooking the meat. Gonna enjoy the last of our leafy green vegetables.
I was recently asked, who does it better? Is the buffet on a cruise ship better than the buffet on Uinta? And I've never been on a cruise ship, but I have been on Uinta, and I can say hands down that the food is better. So there you go. This is amazing. Absolutely delicious. And we're now cruising along at 5 knots again, so life is grand.
We just got a touch of the evening northerly and we were able to put the head sail out. We're now going upwind at about 4 knots towards Kashvarov Passage. Kashvarov? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Anyways, Kashvarov Passage. It's a bit of an intricate passage, but shouldn't be too bad. I think we should be able to sail through there. For now, we are sailing just in time to eat a delicious lunch and enjoy the views. And so we found ourselves slipping into a new daily rhythm here in Alaska. One of misty mornings, sunny calm afternoons, and evening sailing well into the sunset. But we weren't quite expecting the impact of the dramatic landscape that lay ahead.
Yes!
We just came around the corner and the mountains in front of us are absolutely epic.
Enormous!
It's crazy. We are freaking out. Definitely the biggest mountains I've ever seen in my life. Just ice fields and glaciers and snow-capped peaks.
I feel like this is what we were waiting for. This is Alaska. This is what it looks like.
Many of you will be familiar with the late John Muir, renowned naturalist and environmental philosopher and America's most influential advocate for nature conservation. During his early expeditions to Alaska, Muir traveled to this area and the nearby Stikine River, and like us, was particularly struck by the grandeur of the immense glaciers and dramatic beauty of the land. The scene here really takes your breath away. I am absolutely lost for words. This place is incredible. I've not ever seen a place as beautiful as this.
Absolutely amazing.
The reveal as the boat sort of came around the corner, we were just like, oh!
And it just keeps on going the further around we come. Like, they just keep on spreading out. You're like, is that a cloud? But no, it's pointy.
This is so exciting. This is exactly what we sailed up here for. And we're going to spend weeks up here.
Yes.
Exploring all of this, where glaciers meet the ocean. I'm just so stoked.
This is exactly why we're here. And the next stop, Petersburg, and then glaciers. Wow, wow.
Muir's scientific observations during his trip here formed the basis of many of his later writings and led to strong advocacy efforts for the conservation and protection of America's wild places. Having read Muir's works for a long time before traveling here ourselves, we couldn't help but feel immensely moved. It's a little surreal getting to experience the wonder of this place firsthand. Seriously, one of the dreamiest night sails we could ever imagine.
Well, this is absolutely lovely. We're sailing in maybe 10 knots of breeze, completely downwind, wing on wing, just absolutely careening along at 4.5 knots, which is really, really nice because you can really take in the Alaskan vistas.
Sort of a nice evening wind. And the nice thing about Alaska is it doesn't really get dark here. Sort of around 10:30 or 11, it's like dark-ish, and then around 4 a.m. it's completely bright again. So yeah, you can kind of sail all night, which is cool. I don't think we'll do that tonight, but maybe if the wind stays like this. Sailing in the night has been a rare opportunity so far in the Inside Passage. With so much vessel traffic and floating debris, it's wise to drop the hook overnight in one of the thousands of anchorages. Sailing into the sunset, one that lasts for hours, well into midnight, with a stunningly captivating horizon, it's a rather novel experience.
The breeze just started to pick up, and I had a feeling that it was like an afternoon inflow breeze, which is pretty typical in the afternoon. Once the mountains start to warm up, it brings air from the ocean up into them. So basically traveling in the direction of the mountain range, and just as we came around the corner, there's the mountain range that's sucking all that beautiful air up, giving us the lift that we need to go over towards them.
We're gonna leave you here this week, folks, making headway towards the biggest mountains in North America. We have a pretty jam-packed episode for you next time.
Heading towards ice, mountains, glaciers, that's what's coming up for us this episode and the next couple.
But to get there, we'll have to transit Wrangell Narrows. We're going about 5 knots, tacking upwind towards Wrangell Narrows, a cumbersome waterway littered with vessels that didn't make it through.
There's a couple of sunken ships that you can see sticking out like off the channel.
A reminder to navigate with caution. We'll have some serious currents to contend with.
5.5, 6 knots.
And those aren't the only obstacles.
It's a freaking moose swimming across the channel.
I was expecting to see a lot of things out here today, but a moose swimming in the water was not one of them. Ooh. Oh, nice. All of this on our way to an interesting little outpost known as Alaska's Little Norway. This is probably one of the coolest ports we've ever come into.
And after that, we are into glacial territory, glacial waters, glacial ice.
Subscribe and join us on the journey north. As always, biggest thank you to our Patreons for making these videos possible. We'll see you next time.